Hey everyone, today I'm doing a special kind of video because this week marks my first anniversary on Booktube. I can't believe it's already been a year since I started this channel and what an amazing year it has been. I've met so many great people, other booktubers and also just other viewers, and it has just been an amazing adventure. And so I wanted to celebrate this special occasion, and I was actually preparing a different kind of video, uh, but that didn't really turn into something interesting. I wanted to talk about what it was like this first year, and I ended up just talking about myself, which I thought wouldn't be too interesting. And so I decided to do something different and do a good old-fashioned Q&A and let some of you ask me some questions, which I did last week. And I was a bit worried because I'm just such a small channel that I wouldn't get many questions, but thankfully I was very wrong. A lot of you responded with a lot of questions actually. So thank you very much for that. Now I normally prepare my videos a little bit, but I didn't for this one. And there are multiple reasons for that. The first one being that someone specifically asked me to answer his questions from my heart, which I of course will do. And so I decided to do that for all the questions. So I haven't really looked at them. I've only looked at them once, so I don't know how long this video will turn out to be and how. But yeah, and the other reason was because I've been doing this now for a year, I should be able to get a video going without too much preparation. But yeah, since I got so many questions, you all actually responded with really good questions. I want to make sure I put in a lot of effort in my answers. But yeah, anyway, let's start with the first one. Now these are in random order. I picked this up from the comment section on the YouTube video. But yeah, the first question is from the Ansible library. And his real name is Chris. This question I have been asked before. But the question is, what made you decide to read books by authors in publication order? And this question comes from the fact that I read the Verkoosgen saga in publication order. And Chris is also reading the Verkoosgen saga, but he is reading it in internal chronological order. And so yeah, I actually like to read my books in publication order, and I actually read my whole TBR in publication order, not just series. And that sounds a bit insane, but it actually works really well, at least for me. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, like many other readers, I started reading as a young kid, and then when I got older I stopped reading. And I haven't actually been reading more seriously since just a few years. And the reason that got me back into reading was because of a video game called Mass Effect, which is a space opera game. And it's a trilogy, and I really enjoyed the game. And so when I finished it, I started looking for similar games, and I just couldn't find that same feeling I got from that game in other games. And then I discovered a random comment on the internet with someone who basically had the same problem, and he actually said that he found that feeling of space operas in reading, and that made me realize I actually love to read as well, and so that's how I started googling space opera books, and that's actually how I discovered Booktube. Yeah, I discovered all these videos of booktubers with their favorite space opera books and their favorite science fiction books, and so I ended up with this huge list of all these books and series I wanted to read. And so then I had the problem of where do I start? And that's when I made a decision to put everything in publication order and just start at the beginning. And so that's how I started with Foundation Trilogy by Isaac Asimov, which is considered the first space opera, which was published in the 50s. And I just continued from there, reading other science fiction from the 50s, like Asimov's Robot series, and Odyssey Clark, Childhood's End. And then I moved to the 60s with Dune, and Flowers for Algernon, and so on. And the thing I discovered over the time, and why I actually stick with it, is because I started to see the genre actually change. Actually from idea-driven science fiction in the 50s and 60s to more character focus in the 70s and 80s. And I'm currently at the tail end of the 80s, like with the Foucault's saga. So yeah, it works really well for me. And then also at some point I got the urge to read fantasy again, which I mostly read when I was younger. And so I added all these fantasy series I wanted to read and just sticked it into the list as well. And now I just have this huge list, and I just go with it by publication order. Now there are of course also downsides to this. The main thing being that I sometimes have the urge to read something more modern, but I kind of solved that problem by doing the TBR jar, which I did, which has all my series in it, at least the shorter ones. And so I may end up reading something more modern as well, like I did with the Gentleman Bastard series. So yeah, it works really well for me, and I would also advise others doing it. If you have trouble, if you have choice paralysis, as it's called, it's a great way to get reading again, and it's a great way to get through your TBR. So yeah, that's why I do it, and I'm probably just gonna stick with it at least for the foreseeable future. And the next question is from Patrick's Book Reviews. And he actually has three questions. And the first question is, if you could have any other booktuber's library, whose would you choose and why? Now of course I could say yours, because you seem to have a lot of books. Now most booktubers have a bigger library than my sad little book collection, but of course your library lacks one thing I would miss, and that's of course the Harry Potter series. So I think I would actually go with JJ, the Bookworm Blacksmith, because she seems to have a lot of books, and she reads very widely. Of course, if you follow her channel, you'll notice that she has a lot of books, and also on the Discord. So yeah, I think I would go with that answer. And the second question is, what is your preferred language for reading, and does the language affect your reading speed at all? Now my preferred language for reading these days is English. I read mostly English, And there are multiple reasons for that. The first one is that a lot of books I read don't actually have a Dutch translation. The Dutch, it's a small language, or at least it's a small market, so there isn't that much that gets translated. So if I would go with only Dutch books or Dutch translations, I would actually miss out on quite a few books that I want to read. And another reason is that I actually start to prefer English now. It also has to do with this channel, because this channel is in English, and also the translations aren't always that great. I recently reread the Lord of the Rings trilogy earlier this year, and I actually read it originally in the Dutch version, and I struggled with it a lot. And now I reread it in English, and I actually compared it a little bit, and the Dutch translation was actually pretty rough. So that also influences the enjoyment in some way. And does the language affect my reading speed? Not anymore. I would say I become pretty accustomed to English, and I would say I would read about the same speed now, so no problems there. Yeah, and then the third question, that's the one I expected to get, and that is, imagine that you suckered another poor, unsuspecting booktuber into promising to read Harry Potter with you. You decide out of the kindness of your heart that you shouldn't make him suffer through the pain and agony of reading said series. Which book do you replace it with, and why? The hypothetical booktuber thanks you in advance for getting him out of reading Harry Potter. Now, I think this is a weird question. And I think this, for the others who don't know, this might need a little context. This actually started with another Q&A that Patrick did a while back. And he always used to talk about Harry Potter in the comments, because I really like that series, and he, for some reason, at least he pretends, he doesn't like it. Now, he hasn't read the series as far as I'm aware, so it is actually based on nothing. And I asked him in the Q&A if he actually was willing to read the Harry Potter series. Or I asked him specifically when he was going to start reading it. Because, like we say here in the Netherlands, what's on your tongue is also in your heart. Something like that. Which means if you talk about something a lot, you're actually very interested in it. And he thought, for some reason, it was a troll question. And so, but he actually offered in that Q&A video to read the Harry Potter series with me, and also the last two books in the Three Musketeers trilogy. And if you've been following this channel, you know I struggled with the book, the first one, a lot. And so he wanted me to read, he really liked that book, and he wanted me to read the other two as well. And then in exchange would read the Harry Potter series with me. And so I immediately, of course, said yes, which he didn't expect, I think. And at first I thought he was a bit overwhelmed with joy based on his reaction. But yeah, over time it became clear that he just wasn't ready to start the series just yet. And so he's trying to find ways of getting out of it. Which is ironic, because he did another group read with Brian from the Krusty Codex and Mike from Bibliophile Reads of the Don Quixote, and in which Mike famously pulled out of, and he was very disappointed with that. And so I think you can understand my disappointment with this question. Now, of course, I'm not the worst person in the world, so I'm willing to make a proposal. And I actually had a little help from some other viewers in what to read in exchange for the Harry Potter series. Actually, some wanted me to continue with it, and Kvetoslav said to read Nabokov instead, which is a author Patrick really enjoys. And I've been thinking about it as well, as for a substitute. I actually thought of the Wheel of Time series, but the problem with that is that it's actually more than twice as long as the Harry Potter series. And I was thinking of letting you do a policy video wearing a dress, but you all actually seem to enjoy wearing women's clothes, so I don't think that's a punishment either. So I came up with another proposal, and that is also swap out Three Musketeer trilogy for your favorite book of this year, which is Don Quixote, and switch the Harry Potter series with my favorite book of the year so far, The Lies of Locke Lamora. Now I think that this is not a bad trade, but it would have to, we would have to do this next year. But I'm actually a bit worried that you won't like The Lies of Locke Lamora that much, because I genuinely think you would enjoy the Harry Potter series more. But yeah, that's my proposition, and yeah, let me know what you think. And the next questions come from Mike from the Bibliophile Reads. He actually has 10 questions. He says I can just pick a few of my favorites, but my heart tells me to answer them all 10. And the first question is, what surprised you most about being a booktuber during the first year? And I think what surprised me most is just the all-round positive community that exists here. Even I knew it was fairly positive, but I don't think I've received any negative comments during this first year. Now, I'm not that big of a channel, so maybe larger channels have more problems with that, but still, just being part of this amazing community was just a huge positive surprise, and just well worth it, all the trouble of making videos. Yeah, a huge positive surprise. And the second question is, has your reading life changed since you started making Booktube videos? If so, how? No, I don't think my reading life has changed much. I think making videos on Booktube has led to me reading more books. And it sounds a bit negative, but it was actually a goal to read more consistently. And so I think that worked out really well. And I do think about the books I read more deeply, because well, I have to make videos about them, and I like to share my thoughts on them, and so I approach reading a little bit differently, but also I mean it in a positive way. And the third question is, what video are you most proud of from your first video year on the platform? I wouldn't say I'm particularly proud of any video, but I think the first one even though it's one of my worst videos, I think I'm the most proud of that one, because that was the hardest one for me to do. And for me, getting started, I had to get over a huge hurdle, which was all in my mind. But yeah, taking that step was big for me, and to get the first video out and get this channel started, just I'm very proud of having done that. And I sometimes look back at this video and I can see I've improved a little bit, so yeah, definitely the video I'm most proud of. And then the fourth question is, what is one thing viewers might be surprised to learn about your channel behind the scenes? Now I don't know if I can surprise my viewers that much, but I think, no, I'm gonna be honest, Michael isn't my real name. And it has to do with the fact that I have a Frisian name, and a lot of English speakers have trouble just pronouncing that name. I went to Canada about a decade ago now, no, even longer, and a lot of people there, I spent a few months, and a lot of people had trouble with my name over there, and so I just went with Mike or Michael. It was just easier in communication, very close to my name, so I used that name on other before I started this channel, on other like digital platforms as well. So yeah, it just seemed easier, and I just stick with it. And yeah, it might be a surprise. Yeah, that's a behind the scenes secret. Not a big one, but. And the fifth question is, what has been more enjoyable than you expected? Reading, filming, editing, or interacting with the community? I think the most enjoyable just has been the community, interacting with other booktubers and just other viewers. People. It still surprises me that there are people who watch my videos. And I know it's a cliche to say, but just I still find it unbelievable that there are people watching my videos. And so the fact that I'm actually doing this Q&A, I never really thought I would, because I was just expecting like a few viewers each video, and that I actually ended up with almost 100 subscribers, and I have like most of my videos get like 20, 30 views. It just blows my mind still, and yeah, that has been definitely the best part of this channel. And the sixth question is, what has been the most rewarding part of being part of the Booktube community? Now, this comes back to the last question, but just the most rewarding has been all the people you meet, and also the community that you actually invited me in. The first half year I was pretty, this channel was pretty focused on myself and just getting videos out, and I enjoyed it a lot. But then actually when I became part of this small community, it just enhanced everything. And just meeting all these other people and having all these fun conversations on the Discord and just in the comment section and everywhere else has definitely been the most rewarding part. And the seventh question is, did starting a channel affect the way you buy, collect, or choose books? Now, I still read mostly the same books I wanted to read. I've done a few buddy reads, or like group reads. We did the Three Musketeers, which I probably wouldn't have picked up otherwise. And I actually stopped buying books because I'm reading much more it just became more expensive, and so I decided to go full library and just buy the books. I haven't bought a few books. I haven't bought a lot of books lately, but just reading the books and then buying some of my favorites keeps the cost down a little bit. And I sometimes ended up buying books that I didn't really enjoy, and so that felt like a waste sometimes. So yeah, definitely that affect in that way. And the eighth question is, what's one thing you've learned about yourself as a reader during this first year? I don't know if I've learned anything. I guess that I lately never managed to reach my reading goals, which isn't really a problem. And I think I've learned that I don't need to put too much pressure on myself to read a certain amount of books. And the ninth question is, if you could go back and give yourself advice before uploading your very first video, what would you say? And the advice I would give myself is, don't be afraid to reach out to others. Meeting different booktubers and just different people has definitely been the best part, like I said earlier, and so I definitely should have done that earlier, which I didn't do, and actually Mike, you would have wanted to reach out to me, so if you hadn't done that I might have been more on my own. Yeah, that's the advice I would give myself, and also others who are thinking about starting a channel. Don't be afraid to reach out to other people. And the 10th question is, looking ahead to year 2, what are you most excited to do, try or improve on your channel? Now I don't really have much goals for this channel. I just want to keep continuing what I'm already doing. I'm enjoying what I'm doing a lot, so I don't see a reason to change it up that much. I guess you could say I have a goal would be to reach 100 subscribers, but that's a small goal, not really important. If you go back to one of my earlier videos, I do have a 100 subscriber goal, and that is to read a manga. And for that one I chose Silver Spoon, which is a manga about farming. So yeah, if I ever manage to get that many subscribers, I'll have to read and review that one. And I also have one for 250 subscribers, which is to read a cowboy romance, which apparently is a thing. But yeah, we'll see that if I actually get there. As for content wise, I've been thinking about doing live streams in some sort of way, but I'm just a small channel and I'm just worried that no one will actually turn up. So for now I probably won't do that. And I've been thinking about maybe reaching out to authors. I definitely want to read more indie stuff. And so maybe reading some of that stuff and then reading out to some of those authors and like making a video with them about their work would be maybe a long-term goal. And maybe collaborating with other booktubers. Maybe one. That's stuff I've been thinking about, but so yeah, those were Mike's 10 questions. I hope you're happy with the answers. And the next question comes from Music Room. Now I don't know your real name, but he says, as a retired music educator, the most frequent non-book related question I typically ask is, do you sing well or perhaps play one or more musical instruments? I predict you will say that you don't sing well, but I imagine you have a nice singing voice. Now I'm going to be honest again here. I actually used to sing when I was a lot younger. And this goes back a long way. But we had a musical on school back in the day, and my teacher actually discovered that I could sing very well, and so I ended up with a solo role in that musical, which is one of the scariest things I've ever done. But yeah, I used to sing. I've also been part of a like a child choir, where we used to sing in churches and stuff. That was a lot of fun, and I used to sing some solo parts in there as well. But lately I haven't been doing anything with it. At some point in your life you have to make some decisions on going studying, and so I dropped singing. So yeah, do I sing still very well? I don't think so. I don't practice anymore, so but yeah, I hope that answers your question. Might be another surprise. And the next question is from Kvetoslav. He actually has 5 questions. And the first question is, you mentioned in a comment on my video that you also ranked some fantasy series higher than Lord of the Rings. I'm curious which one are on that list. Now, ever since reading The Lies of Locke, which is one of my favorite fantasy books of all time, I've actually been thinking about what actually are my favorite books. I hope you forgive me, but I've actually been playing with the idea of doing a top 10 fantasy books list sometime in the future. And so yeah, when I put out the video, you'll know which ones I have higher. And the second question is, what percentage of your reading for pleasure is in German or other languages? Now, I don't read in German. I'm from the Netherlands, and don't worry, that mistake, others have made that mistake as well, so no problem there. But I do read mostly in English, like I said on Patrick's question, and sometimes in Dutch, but no other languages. And the third question is, maybe you've mentioned it and I missed it, but you seem to read a pretty wide variety. Do you have favorite genres? Now I actually think I read pretty small, because I mostly read science fiction and fantasy. And you might have thought of that because I was reading The Three Musketeers. I'm trying to read more broadly, like historical fiction and horror, but I also always default back to science fiction and fantasy. And the fourth question is, what got you interested in reading? Have you always been a reader? Now this also goes back to a previous question. I read a lot as a kid. My mom is an avid reader, and she would always take us to the library, me and my sister, and so I started reading very young. And what actually got me more into like serious reading was the Harry Potter series, and from there I went to like stuff like The Lord of the Rings and Dune. And then as an old teenager I stopped reading and then later got back into it. So I've always been a reader, but not always during all periods of my life. Now, and the bonus question, I have to ask about the cows. And Kvetoslav always seems more interested in my cows than the books I read. I always make that joke because I'm a dairy farmer and sometimes I talk about the farm as well. Yeah, the cows are I assume how you're asking how they're doing, or you want me to tell about the farm. But you probably also know that last week we had a heat wave, which is a struggle for cows as well as the farmer. Cows don't really like warm temperatures, so above 30 degrees it really gets a struggle sometimes. Yeah, it turned out we had almost had 40 degrees here. So yeah, the cows was actually pretty stressed. And if the cows are stressed, I'm also stressed. But yeah, but now that the temperatures have calmed down a little bit, it's going a lot better. And as for the farm, I'm actually in the process right now of taking the farm over from my parents, which is in its final stages. We basically just have to sign the deal, which means I'm officially a real farmer. And we have about 200 cows. Yeah, they're currently walking outside. We graze them during the day, and during the night they stay inside. Yeah, and we have them for the milk. We milk them 2 times a day. If you want to know more, you're always free to ask more questions. And the next question comes from Joseph Francis Burton, and he was actually one of the first people who subscribed to my channel, so he's been around a long time. We don't communicate much in the comments, but thanks for sticking around. And he asks my opinions on Ben Bova, which is a science fiction writer, if you have read him. Now, unfortunately, I have not read him, so I can't say anything about him yet. But I decided, based on I want to give a good answer, I decided to put him on my August TBR. He has written a science fiction series about humanity trying to colonize our solar system. And so I'm going to read the first book in that series. Instead of picking something from a TBR jar, I'm going to read that book. And if you stick around, I'll then can say some of my thoughts on his writing, as far as you can on one book. But yeah, I hope that's a satisfying answer. The next question comes from the outlaw Levi Wells. What book have you read that you figured would be something frivolous, but turned out to be surprisingly profound, or at least more complex than first assumed? Now my heart tells me, or rather asks me, what does frivolous mean? And this is the problem with not preparing, but I assume you mean something easygoing, or an easy read that turns out to be much more complex. Now this is a tough question. I don't really read a lot of easy books, I would say. Well, I do, but I don't gravitate to them. And all the easy books I did read also turned out to be easy. But I'm thinking of Shards of Honor by Lewis McMaster Biold. I was more expecting a popcorn space opera book, but this one was much more deep than expected, but it's not really a complex book. And another one is Replay by Ken Grimwood. And this is a time loop story. And this one, I can't really talk about it too much, but this one goes very deep. I really enjoyed this book. Yeah, I think I'll go with that one. I did a review on it, and it's one of my favorite books I read this year. But yeah, it's about this man dies and then wakes up as an 18-year-old and gets to relive his life. And he gets to make different decisions. But then it happens again. He dies at the same moment in his life again and again. And so he keeps replaying his life. And it went pretty deep. And yeah, that one turned out to be surprisingly much deeper than I expected. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to spoil the good part. And if you actually go in not expecting a lot, it actually is a lot better. So yeah, that's my answer. And then the next question comes from the eternal reader, Austin. And he asked the question he asks everyone. Three riders, dead or alive, around the table for one night with beers, whiskey and cigars. Who is it and what would you ask them? Great question. I did have three in my mind, but now I kind of forgot them. Well, the first one was George R.R. Martin. And I wanted to ask him why he does not finish his Song of Ice and Fire series. And I would not judge him or anything. I just want to know the honest reason. Is he stuck with it? Did he write himself into a corner? Or does he not care about finishing it? Or any other reason? I'd love to know. And another one would be Isaac Asimov, which is one of my favorite science fiction writers. And I would actually ask him if he agrees with the fact that many people think that Dune is considered the best science fiction book. Now, I clearly don't, but I would love to hear his thoughts on it and just in general about modern science fiction, how you would look at it. And the third one, Yoshiki Tanaka, which is the author of the Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which is one of my favorite series. I don't know what I exactly would ask him, but I would definitely first want to finish his series and then really talk about it with him and ask him about his inspirations for it. Because I think it's a really deep, profound series. And I'd love to talk about his inspirations. So yeah, I hope that is a satisfying answer. And the next question comes from the book review star. His name is Nick. And his question is, do you listen to many audiobooks? I actually don't. I'm not someone who can do two things at the same time. A lot of people use audiobooks while doing something else. I've tried it, but I can't. I end up not following the book or stopping what I'm doing and just listening to the book. Now, I really like audiobooks. I actually did, when I was reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I actually also did some part in audiobooks with the Andy Serkis narration, which was really good. He of course plays a part in the trilogy movies. And he does a great Gollum. Not many audiobooks. I wish I could do more, but I also just enjoy reading, so I have no problems with just reading on the page. And the next question comes from Travis from Books, Builds and More. What time of the day do you consider your most comfortable or most convenient reading time? Another great question. And I usually read in the evenings. When I'm reading, I actually like to have all other things done for the day. I said before, I'm a farmer, and so I like to get all the work done, and then in the evenings read. I sometimes have a few hours if I don't have other stuff to do. But yeah, that's mostly when I read. And also don't really have much more time. And the final question is from Andrew at You Could Be Reading More. What is your favorite type of sandwich? Now we here in the Netherlands really have a sandwich culture. But I can't say I really have a favorite. It really changes. Of course there's the traditional sandwich with cheese. And I actually used to make my own cheese back in the day. But it's actually a lot of work and I stopped doing that. But yeah, I still enjoy just plain cheese. Another one is a Dutch snack. It's called a croquette. It's a typical Dutch thing. But it is really good on a sandwich as well, with a little mustard. And we also have, of course, another Dutch thing is hagelslag, which are chocolate sprinkles. It's basically a special kind of chocolate that goes well with bread. But that one, yeah, I really like that one as well. And people always look funny when they hear about it, but it works really well. Anyway, that were all the questions. Thank you everyone for sending in your questions. Yeah, I hope I gave satisfying answers. And I want to finish with thanking everyone for supporting me over this last year. I had an amazing year. Hope to make the next year even better. Anyway, that's all I have. It turned out to be quite a long video, but anyway, thanks for watching and I hope to see you again in the next video.